the member of Bangladesh Accreditation Council. So thank you for being here. We have Professor Atikul Islam, our Honorable Vice Chancellor of North-South University here with us, and Sir Atikul Islam will chair the session. We are also very delighted to have our Honorable Chairman of Board of Trustees of North-South University, Sir M.A. Kashan. Sir, thank you very much for being here. I know you're very busy. Thank you very much. It really means a lot for us. It means a lot for us, and it's very inspiring for us. We also have respected deans, chairmen, other faculty members who are present here as esteemed audience. I thank you everyone for being here, and it is a very important program for us, the Quality Assurance and Accreditation in Higher Education of Bangladesh. With this note, I'd like to give the floor to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir Professor Atikul Islam, to start the program. Sir.
Unmute. Professor Dr. Misbauddin Ahmed, Chairman, Bangladesh Accreditation Council, Professor Sanjay Adhikari, Member of Bangladesh Accreditation Council, our Honorable Member, Chair of the Board of Trustees, Mr. M.A. Kashan, my colleagues, and all the participants of this webinar. Let me first of all welcome you to North-South University, those who are outside of North-South University. And let me say at the inception that we got two speakers. I have had the opportunity to be in meetings with Mr. Misbauddin Ahmed as well as Dr. Sanjay Adhikari. They are the topmost experts in this country on these matters. So it will be very interesting to hear from them. The other reason it's very important is that accreditation is of two types. One is for professional accreditation, for example, being a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, or accreditation by for the engineering courses, accreditation by SCBSP for our business courses, etc. But the most fundamental type of accreditation is to get accreditation of your program. And that is where we need a lot of work in this country. Professor Misbauddin Ahmed has taken up a huge responsibility. When you have SSC, HSC, BA, BSc, BCom, BA, BSc, BCom honors, engineering, medicine, madrasa things, technical, vocal education. The question is, can you let everyone to decide his or her own standard, own way of teaching, and without having any control over the output that you get? Basically, in education processes, input, processing, and output. We get the students as inputs. We work on them, we process them, and the output goes out in the market. Now, if the output, the input and the processing and the output, they're not good quality, obviously the country will be ill-served. So it's important to specify what are the skills that you would expect from someone who has finished his SSC. What would be the skills that we would expect from someone who's finished his HSC? What would be the skill sets of someone who has finished his PhD? So, and in between all these categories, there should be very clear specifications. The reason I say this is that I spent almost all of my educational life or teaching life in Australia, in teaching and in educational administration. There, you have everything specialized. For example, certificate level 1 is the lowest qualification that one can have in Australia. In that one, they will say, we expect foundational knowledge. We expect skills to do routine works. We will expect someone's technical and cognitive characteristics of this type. So it was specified. Certificate 2, a level higher. Certificate 3, a level higher. Certificate 4, a level higher. Diploma, another stage higher. Higher diploma, another stage higher. Undergraduate, we expect professional level things from there. Masters, we want lots of analytical power. We want them to be masters in doing research. PhDs, we want them to even invent methods of research, etc. So the expectations are different, and there are ways to measure the learning outcomes of the students that go into these programs. And looking at the whole Bangladesh situation, I was wondering for the last 3-4 years that what is going to happen. Looks like there's a chaotic situation. People just setting up institutions, giving out master's degrees, undergraduate degrees, diplomas, certificates. There is no control. You call whatever you want to, whatever you produce. That cannot go on. So what Dr. Mesbauddin has taken up is an extremely important thing for this country, but it's also incredibly complex. For example, to specify the requirements of BSc in engineering and to specify because they are same level degrees, to specify the requirements of a MBBS and to specify the requirements of a BA, BSc or BCom in a private college. Technically, they are same level degrees. So to bring them together, and the madrasa system, of course, you got to be now also bring them into the framework. So it is a formidable task, and I think we have found the right person to tackle this one. I won't prolong my speech. I want to hear more. But one thing that I've seen is that every course, every award for example, in Australia would be accredited by the AQF, Australian Qualification Framework Council. Every university will be subject to a 5-yearly audit by the Australian Universities Quality Audit. They work together, hands in glove, and it gets the best outcome. Similarly, I would expect that the Grants Commission and this accreditation body, they can work together because their works to some extent will overlap. It is very hard to have a hard border between these two. So obviously it will need some understanding. But again, previously we didn't have Bangladesh Accreditation Council. So the Grants Commission to do everything with very limited resources. And as a result, we had some shortcomings there. Now that this body has come out with this specific objective and to really remedy a crying deficit in the educational framework, in the body politic of education in this country, this is a very welcome thing. And we from North-South University pledge that we'll be working with the Accreditation Council with 100% devotion and cooperation. I won't prolong my speech. I'm here to hear from the experts. And once again, I thank Professor Mesbauddin Ahmed and Dr. Sanjay Adhikari for being with us, and we will be better known, or we'll be more knowledgeable at the end of it than at the beginning. With that hope, let me give it back to the compere of this program. Dr. Nazmul Nahar, over to you. Back to you.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to request Professor Sanjay Adhikari, sir, to give his presentation on accreditation standards and criteria. Sanjay, sir.
Okay. Please give me a little bit of time to share.
Sure, sir.
Can you see Dr. Nazmin Nahar?
No,
No.
Not yet.
No, sir.
Rashid, you should.
Sir.
স্ক্রিনে ওনার ইটা এনে দাও প্রেজেন্টেশনটা, আমরা তো সাইডে এক সাইডে চলে যাই ওইভাবে।
All right.
Sanjay sir, if you want, you can email me. I can present it.
Can anyone from our side upload the slides if you have the slides?
Mr. Rashid, sir ke
Sir.
hosting capacity ta দেন তাহলে স্যার শেয়ার করতে পারবেন।
And that's
All right,
why the
sir.
problem.
স্যার আপনি পারবেন, উনি আপনাকে হোস্টিং
Okay. আমি সেই জন্য পারছি না, আমি তো
জি, জি,
করছি কিন্তু
জি।
হচ্ছে না তো।
জি, বুঝতে পেরেছি।
Hosting টা
স্যারকে হোস্ট বানিয়ে দেন।
জি।
ওকে, আমি শুরু করতে পারি এখন?
জি
জি স্যার।
প্লিজ।
আচ্ছা, হ্যাঁ, এবার কি দেখা যাচ্ছে?
No, slide
No.
is not yet viewed. No.
শেয়ার করতে হবে আপনাকে, শেয়ার করতে
হ্যাঁ,
হবে।
শেয়ার তো করছি আমি। শেয়ার করলে শেয়ার করছি।
Mr. Rashid, please change the host from here to Sanjay Odhikari, Professor.
I've done, sir. I've done, sir. I'm already given.
সঞ্জয় স্যার এখন
Okay.
কো-হোস্ট। হ্যাঁ।
জি।
হ্যাঁ,
এখন co-host।
আমি তো শেয়ার স্ক্রিন দিয়ে দিচ্ছি, তো হচ্ছে না তো। শেয়ার স্ক্রিন দিয়ে দিচ্ছি তো।
স্যার আমাকে একটু ফাইলটা পাঠাবেন স্যার।
হ্যাঁ
স্যার আমাকে একটু ফাইলটা পাঠাবেন।
হ্যাঁ, অবশ্যই পাঠাতে পারি।
একটু পাঠিয়ে দেন, আমি এখন।
We can display your file.
ওকে, ফাইন।
সন্দীপবাবু একটু উৎসকে করবেন।
না স্যার, ওইটা হচ্ছে না স্যার, আমি দিচ্ছি। আমি ওকে ফাইল পাঠিয়ে দিই, অসুবিধা। উৎসকে ডেকেছি আমি।
ও
Yes, sir, I got it. স্যার আপনার ফাইল পেয়েছি, আমি খুলছি। Sir, I'm sharing your file.
একদম।
স্যার
ওকে।
ফুল স্ক্রিন দিয়ে দিব?
এখন ঠিক আছে।
নাও ঠিক, ইটস ওকে।
হ্যাঁ নাজমান,
জি স্যার, আমি শেয়ার করেছি, দেখতে পাচ্ছেন?
আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি।
আচ্ছা,
এখান থেকে তো আমি কন্ট্রোল করতে পারবো না, তাহলে তো আমাকে স্লাইড করতে হবে। আপনাদের ওখান থেকে স্লাইড দিতে হবে তাহলে।
জি,
আপনি
স্যার।
বলবেন, ওঠানামা করে দিবে।
জি, স্লাইড
ওকে ওকে, সেকেন্ড, হ্যাঁ সেকেন্ড স্লাইড।
আচ্ছা,
ঠিক আছে, অসুবিধা নেই।
নাজমুন নাহার ফুল স্ক্রিন
এবার-
করে দিলে ভালো দেখাবে।
ফুল স্কেল তো
Full screen control 5 দিয়ে দেন।
দিয়েছি।
All right.
আচ্ছা
All right.
নেক্সট স্লাইডে যান, এটা তো এমন কিছু না। থ্যাংক ইউ অনারেবল ভাইস চ্যান্সেলর, নর্থ সাউথ ইউনিভার্সিটি, চিফ গেস্ট, honorable chief guest, Bangladesh Accreditation Council chairman, honorable chair board of trustees, and the audiences. Actually, this presentation was made by Professor S.M. Kobir. He was, we expected that he will present this presentation, and because of his absence, I am giving some proxy. So please consider this matter, as because usually Professor Kobir is habituated to present this part of our agenda. I should start with some basic consideration. We will, before preparing this accreditation standards and criteria, in Bengali we call it Mandanda Nirnayak. We consider some important things, that is that which are internationally recognized and wide accepted good practices in higher education. Our national qualifications framework, now it is known as Bangladesh National Qualifications Framework for Higher Education. Context of higher education in Bangladesh, standards, and these standards, what we suggested, what are approved by our Accreditation Council, are mandatory for accreditation of all academic programs. But something should be added during accreditation, that is discipline-specific requirements for program accreditation. In our provision, in our act, there is a provision that there will be an expert committee in each discipline, and they will suggest what will be the discipline-specific requirements, and then we'll include with these mandatory standards. Documents and evidences are essential to support adoption and maintenance of each criteria. Our standards will be measured by criterion, and criterion must be supported by documentation. Next slide, Nazmun. We considered these 10 standards, that is governance, leadership responsibilities and autonomy, institutional integrity and transparency, curriculum, teaching, learning and assessment, student admission and support services, faculty and professional staff, facilities and resources, research and scholarly activities, monitoring, evaluation, and continual improvement. Before finalizing these standards, we send these standards to abroad with to some experts. One is Professor Tim Parkinson, who has been working in New Zealand as an emeritus professor and quality assurance specialist. He also worked in Australia, and another one is residing in Canada. Our one of the part-time member, Professor Habib Rahman, and they suggested some important things, and we included in these standards and criteria. Next slide. Governance. In governance, the standard should be stated as: system must work to ensure better management of the program towards the achievement of mission and objectives of the higher education or program offering entity in a way that effectively benefit the stakeholders. This is the standard. And to measure these standards, we have set 6 criteria. 1, vision, mission, and objectives of the program offering entity. We have to have, for each program, these three things in written, and this must be communicated to the stakeholders. To achieve this vision mission objectives, every program operating entity must have an strategic plan, and that is criteria 2, and that must be well communicated. 3, must have mechanism to receive and redress complaints on sexual harassment. You know, there is a verdict by the High Court that every university must have a committee to prevent sexual harassment in all level. That's why we suggested a criteria for good governance, that there must be a administrative setup to whom who can receive the complaints and can redress the sexual harassments, if any, in the university. For maintenance of academic calendar, we have to have academic calendar. We must have academic calendar, and that must be maintained in toto. 5, class size policy for effective teaching and assessment. Class size policy is very important, and we suggested that there should be a class size policy, and that this point will be decided by the UGC, and every university should follow this class size policy. Criteria 6, maintains IT-based student database or portfolio with contact details and academic credentials. Every program operating entity should have IT-based database with all the information of the student and next of kin, so that if needed, the program operating entity can communicate with their guardians and can communicate with the students easily. Next slide. Standard 2, leadership, responsibility, and autonomy. This standard is stated as to be responsive to the emerging changes and needs of the stakeholders. The higher education institution or program offering entity must have effective institutional leadership with defined responsibilities and sufficient autonomy. This is the statement of the standard, and to measure this standard, we set 3 criteria. 1, organizational structure and leadership with defined responsibilities. 2, maintains a set of values to foster social responsibility, diversity, and inclusivity. And the leadership should be such so that they can mobilize the social responsibility, and the people who are in the university, they should have respect to the social diversity. Criteria 3, program operating entity have autonomy with financial support to introduce innovative approaches and good practices. Program offering, and we suggested program offering entity must have some autonomy, so that for the improvement of the program, they can use that financial support whenever necessary. Next slide, Nazman. Standard 3, institutional integrity and transparency. This can be stated as the higher education institution, program operating entity must act responsibly to meet the needs of the stakeholders and maintain institutional integrity with transparency and accountability. Criteria under this standard: transparent, fair, and appropriate recruitment policy. Each university must have a very transparent and appropriate recruitment policy, code of conduct for students, teachers, and staffs, and policy to promote ethical practices. Every institutions or program of an entity must have code of conduct for student, teachers, and stuff, and that must be communicated among the stakeholders. Criteria 3, transparency and fairness in admission process. Admission process should be transparent, should be very fair, so that the correct student, right student can enter into the university. Well communicated student handbook with program details. Each program offering entity must have an well-written handbook with many things, that is for disciplinary activities, their curriculum, etc. That is their learning outcome, program learning outcome, that includes, and everything should be included in the handbook, so that a student can be aware when they enter into the university that these should be followed by them. Criteria 3.5, well-designed and informative website with easy access for all. There must have a website either individually or linked with the university one. A program of entry must have a well-designed website, so that the stakeholders can enter easily into the website and can know the information about the programs and program offering entity. 3.6, policy and produce to redress sudden grievances, student grievances, complaints with fairness and transparency. There should have a policy so that a student can complain their grievances, and that must be solved with fairness and transparency. Nazman, next slide. Next slide, Nazman.
জি দিয়েছি তো স্যার
না আসেনি তো
আসেনি আমি তো দেখতে
curriculum. Okay, next standard 4, curriculum. This standard is stated as must be need-based. Curriculum must be need-based, and our national qualification framework also telling us that curriculum must be need-based, that is outcome-based, consistent with the BNQF, Bangladesh National Qualifications Framework, and comprehensive enough to guide the faculty and students towards systematic attainment of the learning outcomes. Criteria 1, curriculum is designed and reviewed with the participation of industry and alumni. Now this burning issue is the gap between the societal need, that is industrial need or stakeholders need or community need, and the curriculum of the university. Our proposal is that curriculum must be designed with the participation of all, so that the gap between the academia and the industry can be mitigated. 4.2, curriculum aims at focusing graduate profile, addressing BNQF and needs of the stakeholders. Program learning outcomes are 3. Criteria 3, program learning outcomes are developed within the scope of mission and objective of the POE. Program outcomes should be set so that can be aligned with the mission and objectives of the program offering entity. PLOs are relevant, that is PLOs must be need-based, so it's attainable and measurable. 5, compliance with BNQF in terms of graduation credits and value. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor already has told that about the Australian qualifications framework. We also consulted the Australian qualifications framework to prepare BNQF. So our standard is this BNQF must be complied with the program offering entity to make their curriculum and all other teaching learning activities and everything. Criteria 6, program learning outcomes and courses are aligned. Learning outcomes and courses should be aligned so that the content can be appropriate and adequate. 7, general education course, that is, we suggested 25% general education course should be included in the curriculum. 4.8, maintains course file with course plan, specific credit value, teaching learning assessment methods, etc. Program operating entity should maintain the course file so that the teaching learning activities and teaching plan, assessment plan that can be included in the course file. 9, work integrated learning opportunities should be included in the curriculum. That is internship, project, dissertation or field work, whatever, what suit to the different discipline. According to discipline, this work integrated learning opportunities must be included in the curriculum. Next slide. Teaching, learning and assessment must be systematic, innovative, practice oriented and motivating to support the attainment of learning outcomes, promoting sense of responsibility and ethical practices. The program offered entity must follow fair, valid, and reliable assessment methods. The criteria are teaching learning assessment practices involve practical evidences. That is, the evidences that must come from real life situation so that the graduates can be innovative and creative. Initiate critical thinking, focusing higher order of thinking skills. Criteria 2, student learning time, SLT, and teaching learning assessment activities are in accordance with the credit value of course and cover all CLOs. Student learning time and teaching learning activities must be adjusted with the course that can cover all the course learning outcome. Criteria 3, course teachers strictly maintain class schedule, keep records of attendance, missed classes and make-up classes so that all the learning outcomes should be attained by the students in time. 4, students well informed about course learning outcomes, topics to be discussed, teaching learning assessment strategy, and rubrics used for assessment. Well ahead of time, a student must know all these things. 5, timely feedback on the performance in all formative and continuous assessment. Students should get feedback so that they can try for their improvement. And that's why timely feedback is very important, and we included in this criteria under this standard. Question paper of semester final examination are moderated. According to our BNQF, that the question paper must be moderated. Why? Because whether the question paper that is made by the examiner, whether that can address the learning outcome that is written, course learning outcome or program learning outcome. That's why all the questions must be moderated by internal and external examiners. 7, progression rules to ensure rational movement of students from lower to higher level. There should have a very good progression rules so that the student can move from one level to another higher level, and the prerequisite course must be completed before moving from lower to higher level. Course learning outcomes, teaching learning activities, and assessment methods are properly aligned. Okay, next, Nazmon. Student admission and support services. These standards is stated as appropriate entry requirements, fair and transparent admission policy, adequate and appropriate support for better attainment of learning outcome, exploring potentials, molding personality, and preparing them for the real life situation with sense of responsibility and integrity. The criteria are admission policy with requisite qualifications to select right students. Our experience is the students get their admission in the universities, and these subjects, whether they can choose or not. Our proposal is admission policy should be like that, so that right student can be uh, be admitted in the right department, so that they can cope their education and can attain their proper learning outcome and can be a resourceful human resource. Second, administrative setup with policy for international students. We suggested that for international students, there must be a policy and there must have an administrative setup for their fees, so they can exchange their credit and etc. 6.3, orientation for sound physical and mental growth of students. Each university must have an administrative setup so that they can orient the regular students for their sound physical and mental growth. Orientation sessions for the freshers on POE and program. When students get their admission, there must have an orientation session organized by the program offering entity for the freshers, so that they can aware about the department, about the program, about the learning outcome, etc. 5, academic guidance and counseling on good conduct and integrity. There must have a system and policy so that a student can get their guidance and counseling for their good conduct, for their to make their way on, to make themselves honest and can serve the country very honestly, very dedicatedly. And that's why this criteria is included under this standard. Well-organized alumni association to support the POE. Alumni association is very important. They can act as a bridge between the university and the society. Co-curricular activities for holistic development of the students. Every program of an entity must have, or university must have co-curricular activities for the development of the students, that is their communication ability, their leadership, etc. Higher education institution organizes career counseling and guidance session for graduating students, so that they can face the real life for getting their rights of in the society. Next, Nazman. Faculty and professional staff must have policy to ensure the availability of qualified faculty and professional staff with reasonable teacher-student ratio. Criteria. There are 8 criteria: qualified, professionally skilled, and experienced faculty. That is very expected from the part of university and as well as the society. Salary structure with incentives. BSc expects that every university should have a salary structure, and so that the teacher cannot move from one university to others, and so as they move, uh, especially in the private universities, the teachers move always one university to another, and that's why the quality cannot be ensured by those universities. Policy on support the faculty for advanced studies. University should have the policy so that teacher can get support for advanced studies either in the country or outside the country. Faculty and professional staff development policy, they should have a policy so that the faculty can be developed by themselves professionally, and for this they can join seminar, workshop in the country and outside the country. Policy to evaluate performance of faculty and professional staff. There must have KPI for evaluating the teachers, for evaluating the staff, and that must be evaluated in 3 stages: as head of the program offering entity, by the students, and self-evaluation also. Workload distribution policy, there should have a workload distribution policy so that they can do their research, faculty can do their research, and they can involve in the teaching learning activities simultaneously. Provision to appoint competent practitioners as guest speaker and adjunct faculty. We know there are gaps between the society and the industry and the academia or the university, and that's why to mitigate this, we proposed, we included that the guest teachers from the university, from the industry, who are experienced, who are practitioner in this respective field, and they can be invited by the university as guest teachers or adjunct faculty. Ideal combination of faculty and teacher-student ratio. There should be ideal combination of faculty and student-teacher ratio. Faculty, we suggested 10% professor, 20% associate professor, 40% assistant professor, and 30% lecturer. That is the combination of the faculty. And teacher-student ratio will be decided by the UGC, and everyone should follow that guidance. Next, Nazmon. Standard 8, facilities and resources. This standard is stated as must ensure availability and access to the appropriate and adequate facilities and resource necessary for effective teaching, learning, and research depending on the nature of discipline and the program. Already 30 minutes over. 1, policy for capacity-based student enrollment, equipped and well-managed library. Library should be well-equipped, modern. The library should have all the facilities, modern facilities. 3, necessary physical facilities are in good conditions, adequate and accessible of the students, faculty, and staff. 4, laboratory facilities, instructional technology, and software IT facilities are in good condition, appropriate and adequate. And here the laboratory should be well equipped, and the machines should be replaced time to time as and when necessary. Financial resource allocation for smooth running of the program. Financial resource flow should be like that so that the program can be run very smoothly. Next, research and scholarly activities. POE or higher education institution must support and promote need-based quality research and innovation for the greater benefit of the stakeholders and society at large. The criteria are policy with budget to develop capacity, and research culture with integrity. The research culture should include the honesty, so that plagiarism is very bad thing now are practicing in different universities, that can be avoided. Need-based research for focusing on local and global issues under external collaboration, policy and system to disseminate research findings to the community so that community can be benefited. And 4, intellectual contributions can be acknowledged. That is the research that which should have the status as patent. There must have some support so that intellectual contributions can be honored by the university and the society. Next, last standard, monitoring, evaluation, and continual improvement criteria. This is stated as higher education institution or program offering entity must have a comprehensive system of monitoring, evaluation, and review of policies and practice to identify strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats with achievable benchmark for sustainable quality assurance and continual improvement. Criteria under this standard, well-functioning institutional quality assurance cell is must. It is the precondition to apply for accreditation. 2, collection and management of stakeholders' feedback. The program of offering entity must be flexible so that they can collect the stakeholders' feedback and they can manage easily for the improvement of the program or program offering entity. Monitoring and evaluation to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and identify those for sustainable quality assurance and continuous quality improvement with benchmark. And finally, maintain university industry collaboration for mutual benefit and improvement. This is the time demanding criteria. You know, the industry people are telling that there are gaps between the academia and the university, and that must be mitigated. This is all about very briefly, very briefly, and I apologize because this is usually done by Professor S.M. Kobir, and any mistakes that can be happen in my presentation, please excuse me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I'm stop sharing. Okay. Thank you very much, Sanjay Adhikari, sir. VC sir, do you want to say something, or should we go to Mesbauddin, sir?
Yeah, I mean, as you please. I mean, do your audience want to discuss this presentation first, or should we discuss the deliberations later on after I have spoken?
So we have a session for open discussion from 12:10. So we have a session for open discussion after your speech.
Okay.
Probably BVCs are disconnected. Probably.
Let's carry on with this.
Okay. Thank you, Sanjay Adhikari, sir. I think Vice Chancellor, sir, is having some difficulty.
No, I'm all right.
Oh, okay, sir. Then, sorry. They said you were disconnected, so I.
No.
Now he's
please.
Sorry about that.
Please, Professor Mesbauddin Ahmed has the floor and let me make the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, today's webinar on quality assurance and accreditation in higher education in Bangladesh has been arranged by IQAC, North-South University. The chair of today's session, Professor Atikul Islam, Vice Chancellor, North-South University, my colleagues from BAC, Bangladesh Accreditation Council, Mr. M.A. Kashem, Chairman, Board of Trustees, North-South Universities, and other members, the deans, departmental heads, and the faculty members of NSU, and other members who are connected in this webinar. A very good morning to you all. And Assalamu alaikum. This is a pleasure for me to speak here before the audience of the university. And I'm very pleased to see that the eagerness on the part of the North-South University to know about the quality assurance and accreditation process. It only shows their interest and commitment for excellence in higher education. My colleague, Professor Sanjay Odhikari, has already presented the essential elements of accreditation, that is standards and criteria based on which the accreditation will take place. This is the crucial document. The other documents that are necessary for carrying out the process of accreditation are not in the final stage. The standards and criteria are only the document that we have finalized. The other documents are in the final stage of document approval, so we shall not present them officially. But what I can do is that I can unofficially share with you the essential contents of what is needed for our for running or conducting the accreditation process. This document, as I said, the standards and criteria, they are finalized, and you have already perhaps observed that the 10 standards, and we have 63 criteria. It contains almost all that we could think about. It is a very comprehensive document we have finalized after sharing with many experts, as well as studying the standards of various countries, of various accrediting agencies, the way they are doing these things. We are very happy with these documents, and we shall try to follow this document for running or conducting the process of accreditation. The other documents needed for implementation of accreditation are, as I said, in the process of approval. The most important thing that Professor Atikul Islam mentioned, and it has already come up in the discussion of Professor Sanjay Odhikari, is the National Qualification Framework. This is called Bangladesh National Qualification Framework. It has got two parts. The one is primary and the secondary part, which has got a level from 1 to 6, and from 6 to 10, the higher education part, which is nearly got the approval, and we shall have to follow that qualification framework, which will, Professor Atik has mentioned that the plethora of degrees and diplomas and all these things that are here existing in our scenario of education will have a formal structural form. That is the government, that is this National Qualification Framework is almost ready, and the government will soon publish it and publish the Gazette for higher education. The level 6 and 10, as I mentioned, it's a framework for internationally benchmarked institution, benchmark instrument for development, classification, and recognition of skills, knowledge, and competencies along a continuum of agreed levels. The framework will enable teachers to know what to teach, and students to know what to learn, and the community to know what to expect of graduates. The BAC, Bangladesh Accreditation Council, by its Act 2007, is mandated to implement the framework. For achieving accreditation, all higher education institutions will have to follow the framework and develop their curriculum accordingly. Perhaps it's a good idea to give a little bit of details about the qualification framework. Bangladesh National Qualification Framework Part 2, that is the part for the higher education, will have a post-HSC degrees described in a structured manner, which will describe all degrees in terms of duration required, credit hours to complete, the prerequisite to enroll, learning outcome with level descriptions to identify standard. It has been agreed that the higher education part of B and QF will have level 7 to 10, that is from graduation to PhD. The highest degree will have from 7 to 10. The framework will set national classification of qualifications and levels of learning based on learning outcomes and will prescribe minimum academic load. The programs will also the program will be accredited. Any program framework. An accredited program or qualification will indicate that the quality is assured and it has fully satisfied the quality standards and it's compliant with the framework. The framework has been prepared by the UGC with the help of BAC, Bangladesh Accreditation Council, and the government is going to approve and publish the gadget very soon. The BAC has been mandated to implement by its Act 2007 to implement it. We will organize a series of workshops when this program is finalized so that people can know what to do with this framework and how to remodel their curriculum so that it meets the criteria set in the qualification framework. It may be mentioned that at all higher education institutions will have to remodel their curriculum and develop in a way so that they comply with the national curriculum framework and thus eligible for accreditation. Therefore, finally, we must say that BAC will start the program of accreditation first. Program accreditation first. We will start the program accreditation first when we are ready. We expect we should be ready in a few months' time and do the program accreditation first and then later on move to institutional accreditation. The basic requirements for the higher education institution will be to set their programs to comply with the national qualification framework and will have to comply with the prescribed standards and criteria presented to you just before me. The higher education scenario in Bangladesh is fairly complex. We have about 4.1 million students pursuing their tertiary level educations in 154 public and private universities, 2,345 private and public colleges, 1,805 high madrasas, 910 medical, dental, and technical colleges, vocational colleges, and 70% of all these students are in colleges. That is about 2.9 million students are pursuing their studies in colleges where bachelor's and master's degrees are offered. We must have quality assurance system there and other institutions for higher education for enhancing the quality of higher education. Obviously, we have a very long and an arduous way to travel, but most important thing is that we have stepped out and begun our journey. With the help and cooperation and assistance from all people, from the academia and outside it, we shall be able to establish quality higher education system and management in our country. We firmly believe that we can train our youths with quality education in the country, and the country will prosper when we can train our youths with quality education the country will prosper, develop, and soon reach the group of developed countries in future. I hope the North-South University, with all its resources, can provide the leadership of quality education in the field of higher education in the private sector. I thank you again for inviting me to this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very useful and informative speech. Now I'd like to open the floor for open discussion, and we'll have the discussion for around half an hour. And then after that, we'll have the closing remarks by our Honorable Chairman, sir, of the Board of Trustees of North-South University, Mr. M. A. Kashem. So I'm going to open the floor for open discussion. It would be great if you can raise your hand and then ask the question. That way we can maintain the order, please. Okay.
I saw a question in the chat box.
Chat box, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So, one of the questions. So, should I read it out?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So, first question: what is the reasonable faculty-student ratio, and what is unreasonable? Can you please specify?
Well, it depends on the program. If it is a science, it's 1. If it is humanities, that is 1. If it is a medicine, that is 1 type. And these reasonable ratios will be, as we did not mention any specific number because it will be decided by the UGC. The reasonable number we think for the science students is 1:15. For humanities is 1:13. For medicine is 1:5, and so on. The expert committee that we have mentioned before, that the standards and criteria, together with that, the expert committee for each program will be there. They will decide about this exact number. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Our next question is that it came from our Dean, Dr. Javed Bari from School of Engineering and Physical Sciences. He's asking that all engineering programs obtain accreditation from BATE and IEB, and architecture program is accredited by IAB. What will be the arrangement for accreditation of BAC and BATE and IAB?
We do have provisions for that. If a program is accredited by other agencies, recognized agencies, then we also recognize that. In that case, if they want to get the accreditation from us, they have to apply, and we shall process we'll process a method which is called accreditation by recognition. But BATE is the agency here to accreditate the engineering degrees, the graduate engineering degrees, I know. But BATE itself hasn't got the full mandate of Washington Accord, as far as I know. As long as they are not themselves authorized to do that, we will not accept that, their accreditation.
Okay, thank you, sir. Professor Javed Bari, do you have any other? Okay, okay. So, sir, now,
I have a question.
Okay.
Allow me.
We have another question from Dean Dr. Abdul Rab Khan of School of Social Science, that what is an ideal class size according to UGC? Ideal class size.
UGC, Professor Sanjay Udikari, do you know their? Yes.
No, sir. It is not known to us yet. We requested UGC to settle down this matter so that we can follow that size, and that can be communicated to all the universities so that they can follow, sir.
Professor Nazmoon, may I ask you?
Sure, sir. Professor Abdul Hanan Chaudhry, Dean of School of Business and Economics. Please, sir.
All right.
Yes, please.
Professor Misbauddin Ahmed and Professor Sanjay Odikari, thank you very much, Sanjay Odikari, for your presentation on standards and criteria. And Professor Misbah sir, once again, thank you very much for your elaborate speech. I have one question in regards to the Business School of North-South University. As you know that, well, North-South Business School has already been accredited by SCBSP, and we are striving for also AACSB, the world most recognized accreditation, that we are now aligning our program in that direction. In one of the document of the BSc, I have seen that, well, in terms of the credit hours, that we have got the international credit accreditation with 120 credit hours. And to some extent, most of the business school across the world are offering degrees with a limit of 120 to 124 credit hours. But in the BSc document, it is written for the business schools to get the accreditation that we have to get the 136 to 140 credit hours. Now, my question is, we are always engaged in aligning our program with different standards and also international standards. Now, UGC has given us approval with certain credits. BSc is going to ask us to change that to another limit. How does it is going to work, and whether we really need to align that things beforehand to get the BSc accreditation?
I understand that. The thing is that whether how many credit hours will be for a four-year business studies degree will be determined by the National Qualification Framework. That part is not out yet, therefore I do not like to comment on it, because they will define specifically what the credit hour will mean, because sometimes the credit hour definition can cause this sort of problems, whether it is 120 or 125 or more. But let us wait till the National Qualification Framework is out, because we have to follow that. That is the standardized document that will be approved by the government, and we all have to follow that. Whatever the curriculum we do have, if we want to get the accreditation from us, we have to follow that National Qualification Framework. Number two, if you have, for business school is accredited by the SCBSP and other organizations, they are well-known organization. If you have got the approval from that, if you have got the accreditation from that, is well and good. That is also, that will be recognized by all as a very high standard accreditation. We have no problem with that. But if you, in addition to getting that accreditation, if you want to get accreditation from us, you have to apply following our process, and we will have a process which is called accreditation by recognition. We shall follow that process and provide the accreditation there.
Thank you, sir.
I have, yes, sir, I have more questions.
Yes.
I'm coming to Dr. Hassan Mahmood Reza and Dr. Saiful Moment. Just give me a second. I have two more questions here.
Yes.
There is a question about what is the ideal faculty-student ratio BSc thinks?
Again, you are asking the same question. I said this will be decided by the UGC. We think 1:15 for science, 1:30 for the humanities subjects, and 1:5 for medicine, and so on.
Okay, thank you, sir. There is a question from Professor Sharif Nurul Akam that Dr. Odhikari stated that you suggested a certain percentage of general education courses. Will these be applied in all universities, like public and private, both?
Right.
Yes.
For all universities.
For all universities,
for all programs.
All programs. Minimum of 25% GED for the bachelor's degree. And for the masters and others, it will be less.
10%, sir. Masters.
So also, Sanjay said, do you know by any chance the credit requirement for a BBA degree?
BBA degree?
Yes, sir.
Oh, minimum, our chairman has already told that is not published. Informally, I can say probably, and that was
seen the document,
prepared by the not confidential document, prepared by the, and as because it was discussed very elaborately in different regional workshops. Many workshops were there in Rajshahi, Khulna, Sylhet, and with their opinion, with the consultation of the educationists, university teachers, vice chancellors, deans, heads, and other teachers, the minimum graduating credits has been decided by the UGC, and that is stated in the BNCAP. And for all 4 years program, the graduating credits is minimum is 140. And probably,
140.
probably if we include the 25% of the general education courses,
Yeah,
in that case,
together with general education.
general education. In that case, it will not be a problem, I think.
Thank you, sir. Now, Professor Hassan Mahmood Reza, Dean of...
Sir, again, sir, since this document is yet not, finalized, I would request our Mesbah sir to think, and also Professor Sanjay Adhikari, in regards to the global education. Now we see across the world around 120 to 130 students are graduating, and it is going to be yes, please.
The thing has already been decided. Only circulation is waiting for us. Everything has been decided.
It's going to be a serious financial consequence to the student, and also a linger of the program.
Whatever it is not. It will not be a Bible. In practice, if there will arise any problem, there is a provision to correct, but it will take some time, no doubt.
Let me point out that this document has been prepared after long discussions and studying. We have already studied various frameworks of various different countries. And as I mentioned before, the definition of credit hour may also matter here.
That is the important thing.
The definition of matter, because we will very clearly specify what is the credit hour, and then with the notional hours that a student need to spend on these things. Then these things might be more clear after we have got the document. I tell you that once the document is out, we shall organize a very large number of workshops with you to brief you all the stakeholders about the implication of the National Qualification Framework.
Thank you, sir. Professor Hassan Mahmood Reza, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
So thank you so much, sir, for presenting two nice deliberations you have heard. My question is, in case of a professional degree, for example, pharmacy is a professional degree. In this case, for a 5 years course, actually we are offering 199 credit courses. So in this case, if we want to include 25% GED, in that case, the total credit will go more. And if we reduce the more important courses to adjust the GED, then the learning of the student will be somewhat substandard. So what is your opinion in this case?
I think Professor Sanjay can tell you that, because these are very special subjects like pharmacy, veterinary science, and others. They need 5 years or so. Anyway, Sanjay Babu, what is the situation?
BNQF includes 4 learning domains. One is fundamental domains, and that is the knowledge and skills in the respective subject matters. That is very subject oriented, but there are other 3 domains, that is which are thinking domain, social domain, and personal domain. And this is the requirement in all over the countries. We followed the skills of graduates, the World Economic Forum 2015. We followed in the National Qualifications Framework, as I was involved with the preparation of National Qualifications Framework. And probably our Mesbah sir already said that the definition of creditor is very important. In that case, it will be no problem. But for attaining all the skills, we need to add the GED courses, whatever the fundamental courses may be. We have to include the GED courses. Otherwise, the other skills, beyond the fundamental skills, the students cannot be achieved through their program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Actually, we have added some GED courses, but as you have said that it should be not less than 25%. My specific question is there, whether we can make it 15% or 20%.
Oh, yes, yes. That is up to you.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Another question is,
keeping the framework okay. We have suggested that minimum is 25%.
Minimum 25. We cannot go below 25.
And probably
you cannot go below that. You can go above that. You can go above that, not below that.
I understand, but that's a problem. Anyway, sir. And another thing is, are all universities in Bangladesh are going to follow the same grading policy?
Of course, if they want to get the accreditation.
Thank you, sir.
If they are not caring for that, or if they want to, but that will also be not allowed to do so in future when the government makes this act.
So another small question is, do you tell us a bit about the requirements that a private university should have to offer PhD degree? Are you going to include all those things in this Bangladesh National Qualification Framework?
PhD degree?
Yep.
Can you repeat the question again?
So what are the requirements that a private university should have to offer PhD degree?
Reza, can you take over from you at this stage and
yes, sure.
UGC, that will be decided by UGC.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
What is going to be the learning outcome for a PhD, and we will judge the quality and then give the certification. But the other requirements or other administrative things will be done by the UGC.
Honorable Chair of the Accreditation Council, we were invited, all the private university vice chancellors at the Ganobhavan, and the president, our chancellor, asked us if we had any questions. So I requested him, as the chancellor, to look into the matter that UGC basically, or our rules says that if a university is public, I know they're all good, but they're not all the same quality. But a public university of any quality will be able to offer a PhD program, but no private university can offer a PhD program. I requested him, would it be possible to come off this binary view of public versus private and set some criteria that if in a discipline you fulfill these conditions, then you will be eligible to offer a PhD in the discipline subject to our approval. But the door should be open that if we satisfy all the requirements, whatever the government puts, we should be allowed to offer PhD programs. If I can also add that if you look at our business program, every third academic, we have 211 of them, every third academic is a PhD holder. I don't think you see many universities in this country with that sort of statistics. If you look at our health science, over 60% of our academics are PhD holders. They publish in the best journals in the world. They're fantastic researchers. But professors cannot do all the legwork that is done normally, as you know, by the PhD students and young colleagues. So this is something that's holding us back, not being able to have PhD students to do the fundamental work, to do the hard work, to do the manual work, to do the literature review, to do the basically collect the data, give the statistical runs, come up with the first interpretation. These are the things that in developed countries are done by the PhD students, and the professor helps them at the stage of finding a research question, setting the hypothesis, and towards the end, he goes as to how to interpret the data and how to write up. So we need, if we were allowed in some disciplines where you qualify, you set the qualification criteria to enroll PhD students. We could go up in ranking. We could produce top quality PhDs as we do produce top quality masters and undergraduate students. Isn't it time to look at the quality of the program, quality of the facilities, quality of the teachers, to consider whether someone should offer a PhD rather than whether they have been created as a public or private university? I rest my case, sir, with you. Thank you.
Look, if you want my comment, I am fully with you, because I feel that if an institution, public or private, for ourselves, we do not discriminate between public and private. If an institution has got adequate facilities and resources to conduct the PhD program, why should not they? I think you have already raised this issue with the highest person called the Chancellor of the universities. Let us hope that something will happen. But meanwhile, till you do not get any PhD approval from the authorities, you can do one thing. You can appoint research assistants to do these research works and help with the laboratory, help in the laboratory, and work with the professors, get papers published, high quality papers. And these research assistants can, for the time being, can enroll for their degree in some private university, a public university, which is done in many places in other countries. Until you get the yourself.
That's what we have been doing.
It's an interim solution.
There are two discriminations. One is the PhD and master's degree for the private universities. Many private universities has the capability to produce better masters and PhD. That's my opinion, as I worked with 69 public and private universities. And another discrimination is the private universities cannot design and review their own curriculum. And for their curriculum, they are hanker after with the UGC. That should be removed immediately, as soon as possible. As soon as possible.
Sanjay Adhikari, thank you very much. This is something that we really need. Private universities should get the freedom in terms of designing their curriculum.
Certainly.
Modern.
I'll go back to the my little point that I was going to make, and take this opportunity to bring it to the attention of the chair of Bangladesh Accreditation Council. About a month ago, there was a journal article in the newspaper about the research performance of various universities. They gave who spent how much for research and what was the output. Now, one private university spent apparently 39 crores. Their output was 179 pieces. We spent 6.8 crores and our output was 1165 pieces of output. So I humbly pledge that our research output in the previous year, according to the Grants Commission, was more than Dhaka University, Buet, Rajshahi University, and Jahangirnagar University taken together. The four of them, whatever research they produced in that year, according to UGC, we produced more than the four of them taken together. On the other hand, if you look at the private sector universities, 9 top universities reported their research, and the other, including us, the total of other 8 is below just our total. And I can again say, sir, with pride, that the $6.8 million and 6.8 crore that we have seen as we have spent, which came as the 5th spender in the private sector, that 6.8 is not totally ours. Ours is probably 2 crore. The other 4.8 from the research funding that we got from overseas, in dollars, in euros, in pounds, and joint research. So we want to go, we want to touch the stars. We need your help. Today, one of our researchers struggling badly. She got a huge research, considerable amount of research funding from Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation. Now, she cannot spend the money unless it is approved. It goes to the Grants Commission, the Education Ministry, the ERDA, and then gets approval from the president or someone. Now, in the meantime, the donors say, look, you spend this money within this time or it collapses. Now, where do we go? The lady was in tears. She was crying. Sir, I got this huge fund. But this is the thing. And you go and try to push a file somewhere. Same thing with the business faculty. Please, Ms. Baba, you are in a good position. Please try to straighten up things a bit. We are law-abiding citizens.
We do understand the situation. We also are victims of such bureaucracy because our laws are, we have submitted to the government the Bidhimala, which is called the rules of regulations to conduct the process of accreditation. They are there in the ministry for months and months. And we haven't got the approval yet to start the process. Anyway, I wouldn't make any comment on that. I fully understand. But what we care is about the quality of education, and we would like to see that quality flourishes. And the educational institutions, private or public, they are sincere in their efforts to carry on with their quality education. If you do publications, high quality publications, it will be put into the map of the university around the world. Because I understand that most important or most famous universities are private universities around the world. So once we value the quality of education, quality of research, because higher education cannot be separated from the research. Your research, your quality publications will put you in the map of higher education for you. That is why I told that your university can provide the leadership of quality education in the field of higher education in the private sector. Hope it will be done, and one has to struggle. One has to struggle with these sort of things. We hope if accreditation process is started fully, I said, in years to come, many things will be taken care of. Many things will be sorted out in the process.
I can pledge you that we'll work like the ideal citizen so that you can use us as an example. Look, we have signed last week the Canvas learning management system, which is in all over the developed world, Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, MIT, they do it. We are the first one in South Asia to sign up with Canvas. So we are trying to lead, we are trying to take us to a different level, and we need your cooperation. And we got currently a chair of the Board of Trustees who doesn't worry whether it costs us 1 crore, 2 crore a year, as long as it helps our students. And he is also very, what should I say, he is a strong patron of research. We are lucky in that way. He's here, I'm not praising him because he's here, but that is the truth. Anyway, go ahead.
You see that in our, just a small comment, that you see that in our standards, there is a point, number 9. The standard says scholarly activities of the teachers. Research and scholarly activities. That scholarly activities will take care of the publications, the quality of teachers, the patents, and the situation. We appreciate very much these things to take.
Thank you, sir. We'll take the last question from Dr. Saiful Momen. After that, we go to our Honorable Board of Trustees Chairman, sir. Dr. Saiful Momen, please make a question short.
Please.
Please unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
Unmute, Dr. Saiful.
Unmute first.
I'm sorry, in the interest of saving time, I was not going to ask the question, but since you cornered me. So I say this more in the spirit of discussion, and that is the role of industry in higher education. and especially the elevated role of industry in higher education in recent years. But I wonder, what are the corresponding industries for humanities or social sciences? Do they have a corresponding industry
Sure.
to go with their education?
They do.
And do we devalue social sciences and humanities when we promote industry? I would say so much.
Ajay Babu, you
Sir,
let him know.
we mean the word industry as not as industry that we mean. Actually, the industry is the society and community and as a whole. And for example, film industry, for example, and there are many in industry. So industry includes all. So there is no problem for humanities and business and social sciences. Whatever the relevant stakeholders will be added, no doubt.
In most countries, developed countries, what is the situation is, the industries have a budget called R&D, research and development. That budget is mostly spent with research projects they submit to the universities for carrying out research. But we do not yet have got such relationship developed. We want this to be established in future.
Yes.
Thank you, sirs. Thank you to my
Dr. Nazmon, before finalizing finalizing the session, I would like to mention another statistics, research statistic. That is, the BIDS research says that the graduates coming from private universities employed 44% against 32% from the public universities. So this is a good news for the private universities. So this scenario has been changing. Thank you.
By the way, today, but I cannot check the temptation. Today, the subject rankings of QS World has come out.
Right.
And North-South University Business School has been placed between 351 and 400. So,
fine.
Or 301 to 350. Worldwide, out of hundreds of thousands of universities, our business school has achieved that position. Our engineering school has come to the top 600 in the whole world. So we try, and we have been achieving things. We need some encouragement, but we are being hammered instead from some quarters. Thank you.
Thank you, sirs. Thank you, my esteemed colleagues, for your lively discussion. Now I'd like to request our Honorable Chairman, Sir, M.A. Kashan, to give his concluding remarks. Sir. Sir, you have to unmute, sir.
Sir, unmute.
Sir, আমরা শুনতে পাচ্ছি না। হ্যাঁ।
I thought I did not have to speak because there was such a fruitful discussion from both sides. So I'm not only happy, rather I enjoy the future is very bright. So let me start in a few words. This is the month of independence, 50 years of liberation. First, I would like to express my deepest respect to the martyrs who gave their life to give us a sovereign Bangladesh. I also express my deepest respect to the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, on the eve of the 17th March, the birthday of the greatest Bengali of all time. Well, North-South University is the first private university in Bangladesh and established in 1992. NSU has been constantly striving to become a center of excellence in higher education in the region, and beyond by assuring high quality education and services to the students. Visionary leadership of my colleagues in the Board of Trustees of the NSU and dedicated faculty members and support from the committed operational executive members some of the key factors to help the NSU to reach the top position among the private universities in the country. Maintaining high quality of education, NSU has ranked as the top private university in Bangladesh and in QS World University Ranking Asia 2021, and we have achieved the rank of 228 in whole of Asia. The NSU is committed to continue to progress towards its goal and secure position in the top 100 in Asia. And I'm very hopeful because the way we are working and recent developments indicates, of course, we'll try to catch the 100 in Asia. I'm grateful to the Honorable Chair of the Bangladesh Accreditation Council, Professor Dr. Mesbauddin Ahmed, and his team for his valuable speech and discussions. Today, we learned about the accreditation criteria and standards, and which will be very useful to the accreditation of our degree-giving programs. We really appreciate you and your team's effort in helping higher education sector of Bangladesh in reach global standard. Mr. Chief Guest, I'm very impressed. I'm not an educationalist. I'm a Shilpopati. As an industrialist, we set up this institution 29 years back. In those days, there was no private university in the country. It is I who has managed to convince the chief and head of the state to say, I'm earning foreign exchange, but it is being drainaged due to higher education of our boys and girls in abroad. And these are being spent by your officials and my private sectors. Similarly, we are losing brain also because those boys who are going for higher education, they are not coming back. The president was very understood my approach, and he says, you go to the parliament, we do not have any private university act. We went to the parliament, we managed to convince the parliament, and we are the first to have the North-South University as the private university. Honorable Chief Guest, why I am saying the way you discussed, I am very happy. I feel that you are man of our group, you understand our problems, you realized our problems. When our BC mentioned about the higher education, about the PhD, you appreciated. Now, question is, country's position as such, I'm being a senior citizen, I know we understand, we appreciate, but it takes time to do the necessary job, a necessary, decision, and which takes much more time. Banglaয় বলে মৃত্যুর পরে তাকে recognize করা. Similarly, I being a senior citizen of the country, we are shouting like anything for the PhD course, and even in many forums. But notably, they feel that we are all child. If I have child, then how we became the, welfare, developed countries in the world? This is done by us, by our export, by our standard, by our economy. We have managed, and whole world is impressed by our activities. Similarly, North-South, honorable guest, don't take it otherwise. I being a businessman, that's why I'm saying, from the inception, that we must convince the government that scenario has been changed. যুগের পরিবর্তন হয়ে গেছে। বিশ্ব, the universities of the North America and Europe has recognized us. They are giving us fund to go for a study, research and publication. And I being an industrialist, I being much stress on research and application, as because we are very successful and we will be successful more because more universities are coming up to help us in this respect, because we have a large number of scholars from around the world, from Australia to America. Now this has to be brought to the government knowledge. You being one of the policy maker, your team, your group is very active. Now there are other agencies, but we being a poor people, we cannot go, pillar to pillar. We can convey our requirement, our voice through you. And I find you have appreciated many of our problems as they raised by many of our faculty members. Dr. Sanjay Udikari very nicely elaborated your program, which I appreciate. We also do tell our boys, they do take care, maintain the formalities, regularity, then go the way you want, we'll be behind you. As you know, Honorable Chief Guest, we have managed to do a lot of things in the country. You'll be glad to know the other day, one Japanese university has recognized us and signed an agreement with us that we are to send 80 boys from the engineering department after having graduation in North South. They will give them employment in Japan, which is unexpected, unparalleled, done by the private sector people. We are not government department. We are not going seeking for a job from Qatar or Saudi Arabia like that. We are planning to send the educated boys to one of the most developed countries in the world who has recognized our education. Honorable Chief Guest, you understand that how much we have developed. Similarly, another country is working with us. I, being a senior businessman, industrialist, I had good business in export around the world. Western countries have gone into such a down level you cannot imagine. Similarly, we are surviving by the active leadership of our Prime Minister in the country. And we are very happy. In the educational sector, I think we'll be producing more boys and ready for PhD. But question is, if you send them abroad, it is very difficult to bring them in the country. For the development of the country, for the economics and other things. You know how your government sector is run by our boys. Majority has gone in abroad, but rest of them doing on computer and all these and satellite and digital age. They are very happy. I'm a banker. I remember 25 years back, the then finance minister says, we cannot give you any bank because you cannot run it and you will not make any profit. American Express in Motidil area, they made 200 crore taka profit. Honorable Chairman, you will be glad to know today about 60 private banks in the country. I'm also one of the founder of a bank and we made profit of 1,200 crores. So he was frightened for 200 crores. And we made 1,200 crores made profit each bank. So country is going up. Now who will appreciate? Allah may not appreciate our this role. It should be appreciated by the honorable people, those who are sitting in the helm of the affairs, looking after the educational sector. So I will request again, you and your team, I'm very happy that you understood our problems when the members and the our BC explained to you, do take care of us. It is I who has insisted my colleagues, the industrialists, that will not give you any profit. The university will be non-profit. And everybody was surprised. People gave me money, again they took back that there is no business without profit. But those who have given, I salute them and they are still with me and we are doing well because we got the prestige. Now they understand that prestige and the money making are not the same. Similarly, whatever labor we are doing, we are working for the government, we are working for the nation, and we are for the development of the country. In any bank, if you go, they choose, first of all, the candidate is from North-South University. And if you go to Europe and America, we have 126 universities where the MOU, they prefer the North-South student for, PhD and all this. Considering all that, I'm saying too much in front of you because I liked your speeches. I like the Mr. Sanjay's delivery. And I think if we all work together, our mutual work will be benefited by the government. So with these few words, I will not say much about this. Thanks to your group and you that you have managed to give us a very valuable time and hope with your guidance, we'll do more. I thank our institutional quality assurance people for working hard and arranging this meeting. This was very important. We know Grand Commission, but Grand Commission is one side, but accreditation is very important. If you do not do better, you do not do to follow the rules and regulations, it is no use of running an institution. Today, there are 7 universities in the country. So among them, the way you are running, I wish if we can go in this way, sitting with the officials, telling our problems, listening their orders and all these, I think we will do better. With these few words, respected chief guest, thank you very much once again that you have given your valuable time and your team, and hope you will be coming more and more in future. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insightful speech. I would like to now, from my side, I'd like to end the program with vote of thanks to our chief guest, Professor Dr. Mesbauddin Ahmed, our invited speaker, Professor Dr. Sanjay Adhikari, and our honorable chairman of Board of Trustees, Mr. M.A. Kashim, sir, and my vice chancellor, honorable vice chancellor, sir, Professor Atiq Islam, our pro vice chancellor, Professor Ismail Hussain, and all the deans and chairmen and other esteemed faculty members. I thank you everyone for being here. It's been 2 hours already, and I didn't feel that the time passed so quickly. And it was such a lively discussion. So I thank you everyone for your wonderful participation. So with that, I'd like to thank again and end the program. VC sir, do you want to say anything at the end, sir? Sir, unmute, please. Sir, unmute করবেন একটু.
Sorry. Honorable Chair of the Accreditation Commission, our Mesbah Sanjay Adhikari, thank you so much for coming to North South University. We will always have you first. We will always lead, and we will work as ideal citizens so that you can use us as model. Basically, say if North South can do it, you can do it. It's possible to do it. So we want to work that way. Thank you so much for your time. Inshallah, we'll meet again. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Allah Hafiz. We leave now.
You can leave for the customer. শেষ হয়েছে মাত্র